At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
Cleveland! Welcome into the Office, the show where we talk all things Cleveland sports. I'm your host, Noah, joined with my co-host, Erik. You can join us here at the office, too. Feel free to give us a call, 216-260-3433. I shouldn't say give us a call because we don't have that set up today, but you can shoot us a text for sure. Also, drop a message. X, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. We're on it. We're checking our comments and making sure you can see what we got going on. Erik, buddy, how are you, man?
I'm good. We're live together.
Live from the living room in my apartment. It is a very interesting, trial and error, I should say, because we're going to be going live in a situation like this for the NFL draft in 2-ish weeks' time. Me, John, and Erik will be sitting here in my apartment having some pizza, drinking some brews, watching the draft, reacting to what the Cleveland Browns are doing, and being able to chat with you guys live the whole time we're here. If you watched our live show when we were at Martini's, I almost said Panini's. Shout out Martini's, good people over there in Ashtabula, though. We had some audio issues. And some of those audio issues, we decided to get some new microphones and try them out. So this is a test run per se, but also a test run with some trial and error that's already been done. So we can talk about the Joe Flacco news, right, Erik?
Yeah, big news coming out of Cleveland, obviously. Flacco is backo, as Noah's been saying. He's been shouting all week to us.
So exciting. But first, let's get into our partners here at the channel. You can see their beautiful bottle right here, and that is D&D Meadery. Derek and Dominic, two twin brothers from Northeast Ohio, bringing back the ancient craft of making mead. Honey wine, for those who don't know. Use code @the-office CLE for 5% off. Buy 2 bottles, get a shot glass. Don't put it in the dishwasher because mine broke and I'm still sad about it. Use code @the-office CLE for 5% off today.
It is such good stuff. This is the award-winning honey mead, and I think between the three of us, we've gone through quite a few bottles, so I recommend you try it now.
And they have some new flavors out there as well. Matt just went and picked up a couple bottles of the new flavors. There's maple syrup. There's some different berries. Strawberry, I know, is one of them. I think blueberry is another one of them. So make sure you go check out some of the new flavors. They're hitting shelves everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. They are expanding at a rapid rate. This stuff is fantastic and supporting local too. Local honey, local mead, local wine. Go check out D&D Meadery. Please drink responsibly. Responsibly?
Close
Regardless.
enough.
Joe Flacco is backo, avoiding sackos. It's time to tackle. I don't know. Anyway.
Somebody take this mic away from this man.
No, let's get into it, man. This is exciting. Joe Flacco, fan favorite here in Cleveland, is back with the Cleveland Browns, signs a 1-year, $4 million deal to return to the team where he won Comeback Player of the Year. I think most of Cleveland, if not all of Cleveland, was excited about this.
Sure.
So tell me what you think about the movie.
Listen, I'm of two minds here. I think it's good news and bad news. Let me explain.
Okay.
On the good news side, it's a foregone conclusion that the Browns are drafting a quarterback, whether that be Shedeur Sanders or somebody else. They're going to take a quarterback this year in the draft. Here's the good news and the upside for me. Bringing back Flacco means that they're not just going to throw Shedeur, let's use him as the example, to the wolves. He's not going to be thrown in there week 1 starting. That's what's great. What's bad is that as much as I like Joe Flacco, as fun as that season was 2 years ago, he's not a guy that's going to lead us to the promised land.
Right.
He's not going to win a Super Bowl for us. I mean, we would have to have insane luck, insane defense. Never say never, but it's highly unlikely. That's the bad news. But I do think it's a step in the right direction. It leaves a little less question marks of who's going to be starting week 1, because I, for one, would rather develop the quarterback that we draft and be a little more careful and not just throw them in there, go ahead, good luck, because we've seen how that works out. So I think taking the good with the bad, I'm more positive in this move. And I will say, we'll talk more about it, I'm sure, but Flacco and Stefanski's offense, I think, can still be a good quarterback. He needs to protect the ball, not turn the ball over, and essentially be a game manager. I hope what we saw at the end of Flacco's career with the Browns was, or end of that year, I should say, was that he was a little too over reliant on an aging arm. That sounds silly because he's a guy that can throw downfield, but if he manages games and keeps us in them and lets our defense do its thing, I think we can win games and be competitive.
Yeah, I'm excited about Flacco being back for all of the reasons that you said. Not having to rush the development of a rookie quarterback. Literally everything you said, it rings true in my mind. Anybody who's down on Flacco, I don't get it. I understand he's an aging quarterback, but he's a quarterback that has had success in this system. I talked about it before. That's why he was my veteran pick over Carson Wentz, over Kirk Cousins, over Aaron Rodgers, all the names that were thrown around before, meetings started taking place and the new league year began. Joe Flacco, to me, makes the most sense to be the bridge mentor. Yes, I said it, bridge mentor, put it together, of whatever comes up next. Because the more and more I think of it, the Cleveland Browns are going Travis Hunter at number 2. I think they are in love with him as a prospect. So us fans of taking a quarterback at 2, I think we're going to have to wait a little bit. And I don't know if that's going to be Jalen Milroe. I don't know if that's going to be a prey for Shador Sanders to slide and see what happens there. But
or trade up.
Slide and trade up is more so what I mean. I think they're going to trade up regardless. I want to see them trade up regardless, get that 5th-year option on that rookie quarterback. And, 33, trading up to 26. You have a bazillion picks this year. Why not? Go ahead.
I agree. I want to say one more thing about Flacco because, there's a lot of talk about what it means to bring a veteran guy in. We talked about Kirk Cousins earlier this year. We're talking about Flacco now. So what I want to talk about is the positives that you get from a veteran and the negatives.
Right.
So the fall off as you age, which we've seen in multiple quarterbacks, your arm strength isn't what it once was, obviously, right? You aren't as mobile. You can't really get out of the pocket as much. But these things that we perceive as negatives, I don't think it's that big of a deal when we talk Flacco. Flacco's not really a mobile guy anyway.
Right.
He's going to be a guy that steps up into a pocket that hopefully with our line and being healthy, we keep a clean pocket for him. He's also going to be a guy that, again, he needs to take his checkdowns. The positives that outweigh the negatives for me to re-signing Flacco is that he's a guy that can make reads. He understands defenses. He understands the looks that he's seeing, and he can make those checkdowns. He can maybe throw down the field when, you have a 2nd and short situation where it makes sense. He's going to be a veteran presence that isn't necessarily throwing the ball away when he shouldn't be. I get it. The last time we saw him was a playoff game where he threw 3 picks.
2 pick sixes back-to-back, yeah.
But you got to understand, too, we were out there trying to really wing it and throw it downfield because we were down so much.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the Flacco we're going to see.
Yeah. Think of all the quarterbacks that succeed in a Kevin Stefanski offense, right? And they don't need to have the most arm talent in the entire world. They don't need to be the most mobile in the entire world. Those are bonuses that may help. But Flacco looked mostly like himself last year in Indy. That was a volatile situation. You have a young potential star in Anthony Richardson. Some of the tools are there. You question Anthony Richardson's maturity. This isn't a Colts podcast, so we won't get into that. But for him to come in and play, hopefully the whole season if need be, but 10-ish games and do a chunk of what he did the last time he was in orange and brown, I could see it happen, and it doesn't bother me.
So you bring up a really good point.
Yeah.
And that is Browns fandom has got to be behind whoever our quarterback is, because one of the biggest issues that I see is that maybe Flacco starts off, let's just say 3-1, and then in his 5th game, that's a dream start, by the way,
right?
But in his 5th game, he throws 3 picks, looks awful. If we start chanting Shador or whoever, Kenny Pickett, for God's sake, it's all downhill from there. And that's what I don't want to see. And we have a tendency as a fandom to do exactly that. That's why we got rid of Flacco last year, because we didn't want that with ownership, I should say. Didn't want that with Deshaun.
Right? So it's all. Have you seen some of the social media stuff about this, by the way, that what the Browns have posted, the feel-good moment that this is? I do want to applaud this front office and this coaching staff and this ownership for doing a couple moves that at least make us feel good about ourselves, because
Finally, yeah.
it has been miserable to be a Cleveland Browns fan for multiple years at this point. Oh, longer than that. Listen, I'm going to take us to ad break real quick so we don't forget to get it in. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Sound goody?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
You are listening to At the Office, a Cleveland sports show. We will be back after these commercial messages. And we are back at the office talking all things Joe Flacco returning to Cleveland. You can join us at the office too. Go ahead and leave us a comment down below, whether you're watching on X, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, we're on it. Type us a message and we'll talk about it. And speaking about typing us a message, Barry Northrop says, how about bringing back Amari Cooper with Joe Flacco? This has been something that I've seen online a bunch. I'm very opinionated on this, so I'm happy that it was brought up in our comment section. Shout out, Barry. What do you think about bringing Amari Cooper back? And I chuckle for a reason.
I mean, listen, I think as many tools as possible that we can give Flacco in this offense, if that's the case, great. It's obviously going to look a little better than when Deshaun's throwing to him,
right?
When he's wide open, and I don't know what he was doing, honestly. But you said you're very opinionated, so I'm curious to hear what your take is here.
Yeah, Amari's washed, man.
Whoa, that is a take. Okay.
I mean, did you see him in Buffalo? He was playing with a top 3 quarterback in the league last year. He had a couple touchdowns. He looked like a veteran wide receiver, but we need to stop also living in the past on this. And I think that's the biggest thing. I'm happy Joe Flacco's back. I said it to take off this show. You also should temper your expectations of a 40-year-old quarterback. Bringing back Amari Cooper, who shown signs of not being his old self because he's getting older. Bringing back Nick Chubb. Yes, I am on the Nick Chubb train as well. But expecting Nick Chubb to be Nick Chubb is just a fantasy land that us as Cleveland fans want to be in because of the success we've seen with these players.
How about Odell Beckham?
Right. Yeah. No.
to make your point, right?
Right. I get it. The classics, the nostalgia, it hits. You say Amari and Joe Flacco, I think about that. The fantastic run up into the playoff loss. Yes, it gives me...
It was only 2 years ago, though. I mean, you think he fell off that much in 2 years?
He was playing with Josh Allen last year, Eric.
And Flacco didn't look great last year either.
He looked similar to what he ended up looking with us, too.
I think that, first of all, to go into the end of a season last year and try to make a dent, timing and... the fit between the quarterback and the receiver, those things actually matter. I get it. You're thinking he's supposed to be a top 15 wide receiver. He should just automatically click. I don't know that it works that way, though, because he wasn't a right fit in Buffalo necessarily doesn't mean he wouldn't be a right fit back in Cleveland.
Listen, we saw the regression with Amari Cooper also in Cleveland before we traded him. We stole a 3rd-round pick from the Buffalo Bills because they were looking to get deeper at wide receiver.
He had nobody throwing to him.
Okay, that's fantastic. And when he did, he didn't look much better. My point, the fact of the matter is we don't need to keep rehashing the old hits because they're the old hits for a reason. You bring in a guy like Travis Hunter. You have Jerry Jeudy, who had a fantastic season with below subpar quarterback play last season, and you run it that way and you see what happens instead of trying to bring back every old vet that did good here. You want Jarvis Landry too, Eric?
I mean, he changed our locker room, so sure. But listen, if you brought back Amari Cooper as a number 2 or 3 guy, I'm not saying he's not going to be the number 1 guy. You don't want that talent potentially as a 3rd option?
I mean, if he's coming for $1 million or a vet minimum, sure, I don't care, but I don't see a massive positive to bringing in Amari Cooper as when you could go and get some of these younger guys. Hell, bring back Elijah Moore. He's a young player with multiple upsides still. had some flashes here and there in the orange and brown, and now he has a better quarterback than anything that was thrown to him before.
I was a little disappointed that we weren't more active in the market with some of these receivers that were available.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because as much as we want to act and Myles Garrett's like, yeah, I know who the quarterback is, I feel good about it, or whatever that quote was, it's a retool year. I mean, we'd be happy with like 7 wins, but it's a retool year. That's what this is. So spending money now when you're hoping to retool and be ready for this coming seasons with whoever the rookie is, I think it's more likely to be Jalen Milroe, but we'll talk about that a little later this week.
Listen, you say it's a retool year, but I got to say, having Flacco back and making a veteran move, Myles Garrett re-signing, knowing what the draft is going to look like, I don't know, man. I'm getting more and more excited for this year, and I know it's silly as a Browns fan. I get it. And right now, we would say the draft should be the most exciting part because the season's not going to be great.
That's why we're doing it live in 2 weeks right here in my living room of my apartment with John in person. Sorry, I had to plug.
But I don't know. The more I look at the season, the more I look at what we're doing, I like what the front office is doing for the most part.
Yeah.
Could we push for a playoff run? I don't know. Is that crazy? Maybe. But when I look around the league, yes, you're going to have a retooled and still very good Bengals team. Obviously, you have a very good Ravens team.
Yeah.
Steelers, who knows? I don't know who their quarterback will be, but
Aaron Rodgers has to do a couple more rounds of ayahuasca and dark room therapy and all that before he decides if he wants to be an NFL quarterback and before he's even a Steeler.
And I would love if the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, honestly.
But that shit show will be fantastic to watch. And yeah, they'll probably win 10 games and make the playoffs as they always do. But Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers in the same locker room.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. But my point is, the North is very tough, but I don't dismiss the Browns immediately either in that who I'm talking about. Ravens are far and above the top, probably followed by the Bengals. And then I think it's a toss-up.
I don't know, man. I can't have the level of optimism that you have right
now. Which is wild. You normally always do.
Am. But after how high the high was of how we felt about this team last year, to be excited because we have a 40-year-old quarterback and Myles Garrett re-signed, and we might have signed another offensive line weapon to make some moves, it just doesn't do it for me. Now, the number 2 pick and who they picked there, hopefully, well, I'm on the Shedeur Sanders train, but, you know, in a perfect world, as we talked about on our Wednesday show, which you should go check out if you haven't checked it out yet, in a perfect world, we get Hunter and Sanders in my mind. But taking a guy like Hunter or Carter or whatever camp you're in and having that type of generational talent with some of these core pieces in the locker room, yeah, that gets me excited a little bit. But still to have optimism of thinking that we might have a shot to be not in a retool year right now.
Hold up. Because I want you to explain to me the difference between now with some of these options that we've, like you keep saying, retooling, and 2 years ago when you were all on the hype train of playoff team, etc. What's the difference? We still have a lot of talent at a lot of positions.
The difference is that 2 years ago or a year ago or whenever you want to say it, you thought you had a franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Obviously, that came back and
he didn't play 2 years ago, though. He was hurt. I'm saying 2 years ago when we were a playoff team.
Yeah.
What's changed between then and now?
2 years.
Yeah, I get that. But
age on the quarterback,
first of all,
age on the whole roster. We have one of the oldest rosters in the NFL. We went from being one of the youngest, most talented rosters in the NFL to not having a single young piece because of the Deshaun Watson trade, which, yes, we've talked about on the show, making sense that the Deshaun Watson trade made sense.
But 2 years didn't age guys that much. I mean, we have younger guys than Myles Garrett, and he's still in his prime. My point is we still have pieces. So to go 2 years ago to be all in and say, this is a great playoff team, they could go far, Flacco's playing great, Flacco magic, to now saying, well, that 7 games would be great. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It would be great, but I think it's a completely different team, first of all, from presence alone between Flacco and Deshaun.
Yeah.
But I think Deshaun was such a cancer even in the locker room. I know they acted like he wasn't, but players are so happy to be rid of him, even though he's still posting like he's ever going to have a shot at quarterback again, which is wild. But I just think there's such a difference in mindset between the two quarterbacks that it's going to make a difference. I really do.
I hope you're right. As a fan, I hope you're right. But my thought process of what's going on with the Cleveland Browns right now is think the year before Jalen Hurts hit the scene. Think the year before Patrick Mahomes hit the scene or something like that. And I'm not saying whatever quarterback they grab in this draft is going to be in that echelon of quarterback, but these guys, Jordan Love's another example of it. Those years before, the other two are better, of course, just because those teams were very mid the year before those quarterbacks hit the scene. Whoever they're going to take, whether it be Milroe, Sanders, Dart, Tyler South, for whatever reason.
Hope not on that one.
No, I agree. This is that buffer year before that in my mind, where they're trying to get set up to really explode with whoever their guy is and whoever they decided their guy is in this draft, if they're even there yet. Because if you would have asked me a month ago, I would have thought it was Sanders. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's Milroe. Maybe it's Dart. They were at dinner with Dart last night.
So what happens? Answer me this. I know Flacco's old as shit, but what happens if he wins 11 games and wins a playoff game?
What do you mean?
Going into next year.
If he's staying as the quarterback and he's not retiring,
that's my question.
he plays until he falls off a cliff. 100%.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
That's exactly what you do. Did they rush Jordan Love out there when Aaron Rodgers was older and still playing good?
No, that's fair. He wasn't playing that well, but that's fair.
I'm not comparing Flacco to Rodgers. Rodgers is 10 times the quarterback Flacco ever was. But
you know what though? I know we're getting off track, but I want to pause you there because I think it's absolutely criminal that between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, they only have 2 Super Bowls between the two of them.
Oh, it's absolutely insane.
That is
absolutely
insane. So to say we keep putting Rodgers on such a pedestal, and don't get me wrong, I think he threw one of the best balls in football history.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. He didn't go get it done like Brady, and I get it. They didn't have the Patriots and the team around him, but he had some really good teams and some really good weapons, and he won 1 Super Bowl. I think we overrate Aaron Rodgers a bit.
We won't get into that because I also am of that same thought process of Aaron Rodgers being overrated. I want to get back on track, though. Joe Flacco, he is a Cleveland Brown. Do you think this hindered any of the thought process of a rookie coming in here? I know we've been talking about they're going to probably bring a rookie in with whatever their second pick be, whether it be 33 higher, what have you. Do you think that hindered the thought process at number 2 completely?
No, I think this was the plan all along. What I think actually happened, and I don't have any sources on this, but I think their plan was actually Kirk Cousins. And I think that fell through. And I think they wanted to get a veteran guy. I really don't think the plan has changed at all.
Yeah.
I think they are hot, like you said, on Travis Hunter at 2.
Yeah.
Even if it weren't Hunter, they would be hot on Abdul Carter at 2.
Yeah.
I don't think they want a quarterback there, and I agree with them, frankly. I don't think they should take a quarterback at 2. What they do after that...
I'm calling you out on that because when I was on the Abdul Carter train to start our draft content, you were on my ass about us not taking a quarterback.
No.
Yes.
I was on your ass about calling Abdul Carter a generational talent when there's been nothing to show that.
You and John sat on this show.
I said we do need a quarterback. You're right.
That we should take a quarterback at 2, and anything else is the wrong decision. I thought my mind.
We didn't have a veteran at that point. Things changed a little in the sense that we didn't have a quarterback. Well, I don't even think we had Kenny Pickett at that point.
But you knew we were going this route. This is exactly the game plan that people thought they were going to lay out. Veteran, young quarterback with upside.
That way, though, I remember that show, and I remember specifically saying, we do not have a quarterback. Who's going to throw the ball? Because Abdul Carter can't throw the ball. Now we have a quarterback. Things change. So as we get more news and as we get more players, yes, my take's going to change a little bit. It's not changing my take and saying that, I'm making up that I never said we should take quarterback. I said that quarterback should absolutely be a priority for this team because we didn't have one and we don't have one. Going into this season, we talked a lot about should we take a quarterback in general and who should we take, because our option for a couple months now has been Kenny Pickett. And while I think Pickett can be maybe okay, I don't feel very comfortable going into the season with him as our starter.
No,
so now that we have Flacco, though, I think it does change the nexus a little bit. Yes, I think this was their plan, but we didn't have that information at the time.
Yeah. I I don't know. It's curious because a lot of people I saw online were talking about, well, now they got Flacco, so they're not going to take a quarterback. Yeah, maybe they're not taking a quarterback at 2. I don't think that's completely off the table. If they're actually so in love with Shador or something like that and think he is for sure, without a doubt, going to be a franchise quarterback and can be worth what an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter is. The tea leaves don't tell us that, though. The tea leaves tell us probably Travis Hunter, but then again, the Cleveland Browns are such a keep it within these walls organization. They could be thinking Jackson Dart at 2. And I'm not thinking that Jackson Dart is a number 2 overall pick, but they could just be thinking that. And none of us know that because they're so good about keeping secrets.
I like that they're doing, we talked about this Wednesday, but I like that they're doing their due diligence.
They should.
They
That's their
absolutely
job.
should. I don't like that ownership is involved in these meetings. I guess I get it. You're potentially going to pay a guy a lot of money. You want to look him in the eyes and know what he's about. But let your front office do that. I really hope that Jimmy is just meeting these guys for exactly that reason and not trying to make final decisions and letting Barry and his team actually make the decision on who we draft when, etc. That said, yeah, we don't know what they're thinking. We can guess and intimate from what they're doing and the actions they're taking, but you don't sign a guy at Flacco and then take a QB at 2 unless it's a sure thing.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what their thought process is. I'm so excited for the NFL draft, man. I think I'm more excited because we're doing this live show format that we've talked about a couple times on the show with our new beautiful, what brand are these? Sennheiser microphones that we bought.
Made in Germany. Yeah, German microphones.
The German.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, the Germans are great.
They make good cars too.
Yeah, they make great beer.
They do make great beer. That is a nice little hint to drop for something we're doing live soon.
That was a great feeder. So overall, you feel good about the Joe Flacco signing, though?
Yeah, overall, I think it's a good thing. I think it keeps butts in seats. It keeps eyes on TVs. I, for one, am excited to go into the season. Right now at this point, I'm a little more excited for the draft just because I don't know what's going to happen, and I love the draft. But more so, I cannot wait till, I don't want to rush summer, but I cannot wait until it's football season again to actually see us on the field.
Yeah, I'm not ready to rush summer whatsoever. Baseball is here, and I am loving every minute of it.
Except for today's scoreline.
Well, yeah. They still have won the last couple series, so we're good. We're good. I got one more thing I want to ask you on topic of quarterback and all of this. Since we're here, I put a Twitter poll out today. Go check it out and vote if you haven't already, because it's good information. I'm curious. Kenny Pickett this morning said he wasn't coming to Cleveland just to hang out. He was coming to be the starting quarterback. Obviously, what else is he going to say? The kid's a competitor. He's a football player. Any football player would say that type of thing.
Right.
The question is, do you think Kenny Pickett starts a game for the Cleveland Browns in the 2025 NFL season?
Unfortunately, I think the answer is yes. And I think the answer is yes just because we haven't had a good track record when it regards injury and our quarterbacks. That said, I love the mentality. I want him to come in and compete. Hell, if he is the guy and he absolutely destroys Joe Flacco at camp, that's great. Let's see it. I think he has talent. He's an athletic kid. He's got an arm. But will we start him because we want to and not out of necessity? No.
I think he also starts this year. The poll, and I didn't screenshot this graphic to put up on the screen because this was kind of an impromptu. Not really. We were talking about doing this show yesterday to test out the mics and also talk a little bit of Flacco. When I put the poll out, we currently have 36 votes in a couple hours of it being out. The question is, do you think Kenny Pickett starts a game for the Cleveland Browns this season? The answers are hell yes or hell no. Hell yes is currently winning 55.6 versus 44.4%. So majority of the fan base as of right now thinks Kenny Pickett starts a game in the brown and orange this year.
I love that your choices were hell yes and hell no, not just like yes or no. Like you got to be all the way in. Either he's starting a game or he's not starting a game.
Are we not Browns fans? You have to be all the way in on it.
I guess.
So, what else, man? Anything else you're thinking of the Flacco move? Any other tea leaves? Any other thought processes that you have going on in your mind? Will Howard's a name that's been brought up because he's a similar stature to Joe Flacco. I don't think Will Howard is going to have any ties to the Cleveland Browns because he hasn't had any visits with us, and he has
Right.
had top 30 visits with other teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers being one of them.
Of course, I hope to God that every Buckeye goes to the Steelers, and it's so frustrating.
I love Will Howard. I love the kid's tenacity. I love, obviously, the fact that he brought Ohio State a championship. Don't get your hopes up, Brown Buck fans. That's a good way to put it. Don't get your hope up, Brown Buck fans, because I just don't think it's there. I don't think they're going to reach on a guy they haven't met a ton with. This front office doesn't do something like that.
I agree, and I'm so split on Will Howard because I do think he's a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously he had the weird what do you call it? He had the good pro day, but the weird combine day where he was missing targets. A lot of people backed him, his teammates, of course, saying that, timing with completely unknown guys is tough. But we saw what he did in our playoff run for Ohio State. He went out and he destroyed every opponent he faced. Because each of those games, Notre Dame tried to make it a game. Yes, Texas was pretty close.
Right.
But there wasn't really a question mark. And a lot of that was Will Howard. How will he do in the NFL? That's a good question. He would be throwing into tighter coverages because, like it or not, there aren't a lot of Jeremiah Smiths out there on NFL teams, believe it or not.
Unfortunately not, no. I just don't think he is in the cards for the Cleveland Browns
no,
as much as people
I agree.
want. If I were putting my money on a quarterback right now, and maybe this is a transition, whether we talk about it on our show or if me and Matt end up picking up and might have 3 shows this week. Who knows? I haven't decided what we're going to do yet because this topic was floating in between everything. I am of the belief that they love Jalen Milroe now.
I struggle there to get behind that, but
I'm not saying I'm behind it. I said I'm of the belief that they're behind it.
That's interesting. See our Wednesday show for our thoughts on each of those quarterbacks that they visited. I would be happier with Shador. I'll just say that.
Well, of course, me too. I bought a T-shirt from the guy just
he's a Shador fan no matter where he goes.
Right. No, that's not true. I'll gladly get rid of that T-shirt if he's a Pittsburgh Steeler or a Cincinnati Bengal.
He paid $50 for that T-shirt. He's not getting rid of it.
Oh, I'm getting rid of it. $50 is $50. I have my own pride in Cleveland, damn it.
$50 for a T-shirt. That's some ignorant, as the song goes.
Yeah, well, I was at the bar and, one button press later, a Shador Sanders T-shirt shows up on a Tuesday, and here we are. Joe Flacco is, in fact, a Cleveland Brown once again. The energy and the vibes are, for once, I think, pretty good around the team. Just getting excited for the draft, and we brought back a fan favorite. Maybe Nick Chubb is in the tea leaf sooner rather than later because it doesn't seem like there has been any motion anywhere else for that guy except, of course, here. We'll see, though. Mary Kay Cabot did say that the Chubb thing was dead a while ago, but you never know. You never know. Mary Kay's also out there right now talking about taking 2 quarterbacks with the top 2 picks and letting them fight it out as well. Eric, you got anything else you're thinking in terms of this Joe Flacco thing before we wrap it up?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I'll reiterate that I'm excited to do live draft coverage with the 2 of you. It's going to be a fun night, and we're going to cover obviously the Browns, but we're going to cover all of that first round night. So we'll be live reacting to every team's picks and what we think in terms of who they take.
Yeah, the goal will be to keep the live rolling, especially if the Browns trade back up and make a selection, whether it be quarterback or something else for some godforsaken reason. But really reacting to what the division's doing, what the league's doing as a whole, and seeing how the draft board falls. NFL draft season, even when we didn't have a first round pick, even when we were winning games and making the playoffs, has always been one of my favorite times of the year, watching some kids get life-changing money and the excitement and the aura and the awe and knowing a guy in the 4th round that you think is going to be a diamond. There's nothing like it, man, and I can't wait.
I can't wait either, but it's so funny that you say watching kids get life-changing money because that's really changed now with NIL.
Oh,
these kids
for sure.
Probably making more money in college than they're going to be making. Like Jeremiah Smith, I bet, will be making more money in college than he makes in his first year in the NFL.
Well, yeah, but
which is wild.
You'll see. We'll see. I NIL is another topic we've covered at length here before on the show, and I'm really curious to see how it falls out. Did you see what's his name? The Tennessee quarterback, by the way, got released from the team because he was holding out for NIL money.
Really?
Yeah, the 5-star kid that was their starter last year that is projected to maybe be a first-round pick this year.
The one that we beat?
Yeah.
Listen, Tennessee fans deserve it the most because they are the most ridiculous fans on the planet. I will stand by this take till I die. Nayland North, how did that work out for you?
Now, I will temper that a little bit. Shout out Lake, who has been on the show before as our special teams correspondent. He is a Tennessee fan, and he is not insufferable about that. He took his L like a gentleman. Love you, Lake. Hope you're doing good over there teaching the youth.
Fair, and shout out as well to our Samantha Roberts, our lovely weather woman, meteorologist at 19 News, because she is also a Tennessee fan. I think she went there, and she is awesome as well. But I stand by it. I stand by what I said.
Yeah, and I stand by the fact that Flacco fever is back, baby, and I am all the way here for it. At least it gives us something to be excited for. You have been listening to At the Office, Cleveland Sports Show with your hosts, Noah and Eric. Eric, anything else you want to say to the good people?
All I will say is I hope whoever we draft, trade for, etc., can't be easily rhymed for my sake, hearing Noah rhyme everything with Flacco.
I can't wait. I'm going to ChatGPT the longest paragraph and start the Wednesday show with Joe Flacco is backo, everything's wacko, tobacco.
Thankfully,
Sacco.
John will be hosting that show.
Yeah, yes, he will. You've been listening to At the Office special edition coverage, testing out some new technology, talking Joe Flacco back to the Browns, having a good time with my buddy Eric. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit the download button if you're listening to the audio version of the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. It helps us grow the brand of At the Office a ton. We didn't shout out the merch store, so make sure you check out attheofficecle.com for all your merchandise needs. We're going to have some new designs coming up there sooner rather than later, as well as a revamped store potentially, so that facet of what we got going on is more usable and more workable for you guys. You have been listening to At the Office. This has been a good time. Flacco is back, oh baby. Fever is all over Cleveland. And until next time, stay up, stay blessed, stay beautiful, people. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye.